tonight's live. We are doing a little bit later tonight, but who knows, how fun. But welcome on in, I am Delphine, this is Mia Art, and yeah, we're going live again. So tonight we're going to be going over some of our 13 by 13 prints. I have them all neatly in a basket tonight, and we're going to get through probably about 6 or so. So we'll go about 6 here, and it's going to be fun. So come on in and join us as we go through them, talk about the art, and answer any questions if you guys have any. But I do hope you enjoy and everything else. So let us get started with the actual first one in the batch, which is actually the same one that we have off the side. How fun is that? It's the same one that we currently have up. So this is Peaceful Jungle. So Peaceful Jungle here is obviously a tiger, and this one was painted in 2024 of last year, obviously. This was actually the first painting that was painted during the public location we had here in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We did have a location for about a year in Virginia, and this was the first ever piece that was painted in that location. So this one particularly, this one really represents a lot of kind of new growth and new beginnings, like very calm new beginnings and such, with it really be representative with kind of the greenery around it. It's very calm, it's very relaxing, obviously. It's kind of just laying there and chill. So it's very calm, it's got the greenery of the spring, it's kind of blooming out, it's kind of growing and becoming new things. This is kind of like a calm new beginnings. Now we do obviously have a few different spring new beginning types. We do actually have a piece called New Beginnings. That is mainly kind of new beginnings as in it's something completely new, like because it's a butterfly. This is more of, it's kind of new because it's kind of expected. You kind of already saw it coming, you kind of already know a little bit more about it, kind of like spring. You already know what to kind of expect and stuff, but it's still new for the new year. It's still the first like spring day, the first whatever, first everything. It's kind of like when we opened the gallery, where it was the first ever time we opened a gallery, a physical location that you guys could come and see us, but it was not the first time that we've ever done art. We obviously knew art. This stuff dates back way further than 2024 for some of these pieces, but it was something new but not completely unknown, honestly. So Peaceful Jungle really kind of emphasizes that, where it's kind of new but not like scary new or unknown new. It's just that kind of new where it's kind of calm, kind of like spring. So it's got this nice kind of green tiger here, kind of chilling, honestly, as it's in this jungle. It's kind of growing and opening up around it in the springtime. Now, for any place, honestly, that I see this in, of course, this is different for literally anyone else, but for myself, I actually could see this in a few different places. So, my first place I could definitely see this in is a gym. I see this literally time to time again on literally every live and video we do with this is that I would put this in a gym, and the reason why I put it in a gym because it honestly gives me the feeling of kind of like a motivational feeling. It gives me that motivational, you're starting something new, but it's not something completely unknown, obviously. It's kind of motivational where it's like keep going, but you don't have to kind of be worried that you have to rush forward into it like completely unknown. You just keep doing what you've already done before. You don't have to worry about, oh my god, I don't know how to work out or anything else. No, you just keep going at your normal pace. So it gives like a very calm feeling, which honestly I feel like is very fitting for a gym, motivational, calm, honestly. So that's kind of like the feeling that it gives me for that. Of course, I could also see this in more of a darker house as well. It can go in probably a bit of both. It can probably go lighter and darker, honestly. It all depends though, honestly, if you want to stand out or blend in a bit more. That's with a lot of paintings. The reason I can see it in a little bit of a darker house though is if it's kind of like a centerpiece of like a living room, where you have like the fireplace or mantle center, and then you have it kind of above it, like where the TV or stuff would be normally. I can see it kind of more like that, because if it's in a darker space where it's obviously in a place where you want to be kind of focal point, that is something. If it's in a darker space where it's obviously in a place where you want to be kind of focal point, that is something that would be nice. I feel like it would kind of give that calm feeling once again to like the living room and stuff. It would give it kind of spring calm feeling once again to like the living room and stuff. It would give it kind of spring, kind of calm, inviting feelings, honestly. Of course, if you don't want to really blend, kind of stand out as much, you want to blend in some, kind of be there. That's when I would obviously put more in a lighter place, maybe not the centerpiece of the room. It could be in like one of the corners on like a smaller wall piece or something. Maybe even a hallway, honestly. But it really gives for that, for like a living room scene, it would be for me like a darker background, like centerpiece over like a fireplace or something, where it's kind of like the centerpiece. It's really giving that inviting, welcoming feeling, where it's very calm, welcoming, and kind of just open, honestly. So that's where I would put it there. So that's kind of like two places. And for the last place I would actually put this would be, obviously, there's a few more. I'm trying to think which one I would want to say more than the other. So the last one. So of course we got the gym, we got the kind of like living room area, and then of course you could put this in, I could see this honestly kind of in a garden room. If you don't have a garden room or a sunroom, you might not understand, but we do. And basically it's this giant room with a lot of windows or light coming through. You usually put house plants or just plants in there. I can see it obviously in kind of like an indoor garden area. Maybe even something creative, just very brighter room. So this is more of like the brighter scene that I was telling you about. And honestly, it gives obviously more of the new life feeling. So this is more obviously for brighter rooms where you have either more lights or a lot more windows, I would think, for that kind of scenario, where it's kind of giving like new. It's giving new, it's kind of giving energy, it's kind of giving life feeling, which that honestly I feel like would be nice to look at. Like I could see myself, like you're in a plant room, you got this just hanging on like one of the few walls in the plant room. Maybe it doesn't even need to be hanging, you can have it on an actual easel. This is a wooden easel, very nice one. You can just have it sitting somewhere as well, but it's just in there chilling with the plants. I can see it just there. You couldn't even have like a little teapot table to the side or wherever else where you can have like your morning, afternoon, just very fine, chilling drinks and stuff. And then of course everything else. Or you could just have it as your plants, or you can paint in there or something. Just, I can see it as like a brighter kind of round foliage, because obviously that's kind of the theme with this. It's kind of new, it's kind of bright, it's kind of green. So yeah, those are like the three places I would definitely see this in. So just to revamp, a gym, or obviously like a yoga space where obviously it feels more kind of like new growth coming. It kind of gives like that motivational feeling for me. I would put this in a dark living room. This could also go for bedrooms, where it's kind of like the centerpiece, honestly. Stands out the most. It's brightest part of the room. It kind of gives that new kind of like welcoming feeling, the calm welcome feeling. And then of course the last one I told you guys about is a sunroom slash indoor garden area, which is basically just a room that has a lot of windows or a lot of light that comes through. I can see it just surrounded by plants and stuff. It's not as dark, but it's kind of a brighter area, lighter, and honestly, it gives more of that calm feeling, new spring feeling. So that is definitely where I would see peaceful jungle in like rooms and colors and stuff. Was kind of like a little bit darker, a little bit brighter. I couldn't really see it visually in a place that's like extremely bright, like pinks and stuff. I can obviously see it more in like greens, browns, and kind of like cream here. So those are obviously the more colors I can kind of see it with kind of more of those natural tones, honestly, like that normal natural tones, maybe blues, but mostly earth tones, honestly, with those browns, creams, it's the sometimes greens, honestly, but kind of more earthy tones. But that is definitely it. Now, to recap for anyone that's joined in, this is Peaceful Jungle. It is basically painted in 2024, so last year as of today, and it is mainly representative of new beginnings. It's a spring painting actually. It's this tiger in a jungle, and it's really representative of new beginnings, but not as in the new beginnings of something completely unknown, but more of the new beginnings of something that's kind of like new, kind of like spring, where you already know of spring and you've probably lived through spring and, you know, seen and done spring before, but it's new because it's the new year, it's the new season of spring. So it's that new that you kind of already knew before, but you just keep living it as normal. It's very calm. You've already got kind of a flow going, and it's honestly nice. So that's a little bit obviously on that, a recap on that for anyone that's just joined in. But of course, if you guys have questions or anything on this piece, or just you want to tell me where you would put it or anything, just leave a comment and everything else. But that is obviously Peaceful Jungle. And that's the first piece for tonight. Wow. So let me see what's the next one. This basket. You can kind of see it. Oh, we got Cascade Flowers. So Cascade Flowers is next, of course. So let me put this back down here in its nice little basket of things, so it doesn't get lost. I've implemented the baskets because they were getting out of hand with all the prints. Oh, this is upside down. Let me see. Yep, okay. Alright, there we go. So this is Cascade Flowers. Cascade Flowers actually was one of the longest paintings that took to actually finish complete. So this was probably about a 3 to 5 year painting it took. This was officially completed in 2024, but it was probably started early 2020, honestly. And now there's not much really story or knowledge about this painting because it was coming in and out of storage, being painted over and everything else for many years. Like, we don't even know where it actually originally was supposed to be, or the flowers, or anything. Like, we literally do not know much about the original origin of this piece. But what we do know is this kind of more represents an artist's kind of changing over the years. It's kind of representative more on change. And you probably can't really tell too much from afar, but when I bring it a little bit closer, you're going to be able to see some details where clearly it's from a different time from the rest of the piece, even different sections or colors, how some things are more textured differently than others, even though everything else as a whole from a distance looks kind of harmonized and normal. But when you actually look closer, you can really see how time changes a person, what they do, how they love to do things, how they change. That's really kind of the representation of this piece now. But it's very gorgeous, honestly. It kind of gives me Nice, France vibes, honestly, where it's kind of like the ocean side, it's the blues, but honestly, we seriously do not know actually where originally it was supposed to be or the flowers or anything, because time over time completely has changed it, the colors and everything else, even though the background is still the original background from like, I don't know, 5 years ago now, basically. But let me bring it a little bit closer so you guys can see those details that I was telling you about here. Okay. And you can kind of see it, right? The main one I love to point out is actually the flowers. So we got this middle part here inside. I can't remember what exactly part of the flowers is called. Comment below for if you know. But it's this little fuzzy part where the pollen basically is in the flower. And it's extremely detailed actually. It's got a lot of colors, it's got a lot of shadows and lightings. This is actually one of the most detailed parts of this entire painting, just in these little tiny like stem pieces, not even stem pieces, I don't know what they're called. These little pieces of the center of the flower is the most detailed, and it very stands out to the petals around it, where they're kind of more shapely, they got colors. Even these two are different, where it's kind of blends in more. This one has more of an outline, but you can tell when you actually start looking at it and kind of point out sections that you can tell changes in style, even though it's not like a very harsh change where you can clearly be like, oh, I see it. It's definitely a change where you can see the bits and pieces of, hey, this was definitely painted at a different time than this per se, or she added on and changed this. But it really does show how people kind of change over years and time, even if it's not major and you can't really like at first be like, oh, I see it on some of these. But you can definitely tell once you start looking, kind of like time influencing a person and how they do things and what they like and everything else. But officially it is now completed, so of course it won't be adding on any more stylistic changes over the years. But I do still think it's very unique and nice piece to look at, since it is literally the only one that we have that has had so much change over the years basically. But to the fun part, where I think this would actually go. So like the last one, I'm going to tell you kind of like 3 places where I think this would really fit in. The first one, I kind of already mentioned this, and it's obviously Nice, France, or any type of like waterside home, where maybe it's a little bit calmer waterside, maybe not like as like family, but maybe family, but generally waterside, where it's got that nice blue ocean in the background, kind of more like flowers. But I can see this like right in a room where you can kind of see it. Like on one side of the room you have this, and then on the other, when you turn, it's got the window that has the view that overtakes to the ocean and stuff. Well, it's very pretty, and it's just, maybe it's like in a bedroom or something where you can clearly see it. It could even be a kitchen, but it's on like a wall or something where if you turn, you can see kind of like the ocean off to the side. It gives that kind of nice feeling where it kind of fits, at least to what I feel like it would fit. I feel like it would fit and be like, oh, it's meant for here. It's meant to be here. It's been here forever. It's evolved with the times, honestly. So I feel like that would definitely be one place that I would definitely put this in. The second one I kind of actually mentioned is a kitchen. I would put this in probably a kitchen. Now you're probably wondering why kitchen. Mainly because kitchens are they're kind of lively, but it also is constantly kind of changing and moving, even just slightly. So it gives obviously that more calmer vibe that a kitchen loves. It's got those flowers as well that kind of gives life, honestly, to like kitchens where you're constantly cooking and making things, but also just like something a little bit fun. Usually when you're in a kitchen, you're making and you're changing, which kind of runs with this, where you're making things, you're changing, things are happening around you. Even taste buds and likes and dislikes change all the time. But I feel like it would fit just because mainly it's kind of lively, but it's not chaotic lively. It's like a nice, calm lively where you can look at it and it just feels like a peaceful piece where you can see in the kitchen where you're just like cutting up your carrots or having your breakfast or something, just very nice. And this does not have to be like a seaside view or anything. It just has to be obviously somewhere that you can kind of feel calm and nice, where you go in and honestly it feels like peaceful. Like you don't want the kitchen to feel like chaotic or anything. You want to feel kind of more peaceful, calm, especially in the morning or at night where you're winding down or waking up. Something you can look at and just be like, yeah, I feel that, I feel this, I enjoy it, and yeah, it's just calmer. And then the fun one. So do obviously tell me in the comments where you would put this yourself. But the last place I would put this actually is probably a outdoor patio. Now you're probably wondering why outdoor patio. Now, of course, if this is not in a space or place that has roofing over it, or you not have that great of weather and stuff, I would not recommend it. But if you have a decent amount of weather, like for your environment, and it has some sort of roofing for protection and stuff, I would go for it. But I would say patio because it's around greenery, it's around other life that's constantly changing and growing and stuff. And I feel like it's obviously more of that kind of lively calm than, especially since here, at least in America, we have a lot of cookouts and gatherings and pool parties and stuff outside by the patio and stuff, all those fun places. And usually that happens around the gardens and obviously outside. And I feel like it would be fitting where somebody can sit out there and kind of enjoy it with kind of the plants happening around it. It gives more of that obvious life. It gives that changes as things happen because people grow up, some people stop coming, you get new people coming. Maybe you never have people, maybe you just enjoy your plants, but things are constantly changing, even if it's just slightly with the seasons. I feel like it's kind of just there all nicely and it just feels right, honestly. It just feels right to be there. So recap, first place is kind of somewhere near the water where I feel like it would go somewhere where you can see it and then you can look out like a window or a porch or something, somewhere that you can see kind of like the ocean nearby, kind of like over the horizon. So that's like my first one because honestly I feel like it fits. It feels like it's been there, it lives there. Second one was that I feel like it would go, what was the second one? Kitchen. It was kitchen. Yes, I feel like it would go in a kitchen because honestly, it gives that calm, it gives that life, it gives that kind of change, honestly. That things are constantly changing, that's alright, but it's nice, it gives kind of that feeling, that nice, good feeling that you see it and you're like, that's nice. I enjoy that feeling where when you're in the kitchen, you kind of want to look at that and you kind of be like, yeah, that's very nice, calms you down, it makes your day a little bit brighter maybe, but enjoy it. Maybe it gives you a reminder that things are always changing too. And then the last place was kind of the patio or outdoor area where it can be around like the other foliage or life that's happening outside, and honestly kind of be more of a relaxing space where you can kind of just enjoy it around everything else, honestly. Kind of not being a centerpiece, but kind of more just there peacefully. That is the three places I've definitely put cascading flowers, and I am definitely curious, obviously, where you guys would put it, because I'm sure there's some people that would put it differently in different places, and honestly, you can give recommendations for some other people. But very lovely piece. For anyone that's just joining in, I'll go ahead and go over the actual piece again for anyone that's just joining in. This is Cascade Flowers. It is actually one of the longest running pieces that I took to paint here at Amena Art, with it being probably around 3 to 5 years it took to complete, basically. And honestly, it was completed 2024 of last year as of recording this. And it really represents kind of change in person and in life. Because if you see it up close and you actually are looking at the detailing, you can see that the different sections is kind of painted at different times, it's different details. It really shows that as a person you might not change as a whole, and sometimes it might not even be noticeable detail changes in like yourself or your life around you, but you are constantly changing year after year after year. You're changing, even if it's just slightly, or it might be majorly. But it kind of shows in this piece, and honestly represents mainly that, because honestly, we don't have much else of a story on it other than that, because nobody really knows where it originally was supposed to represent or the type of flower or anything, but it really kind of represents mainly that change. It just represents change as a whole. Very lovely though. Of course, if you have questions, feel free to ask now. We'll take a sip of my water before we continue on to the next one. Alright, let's see what we have in the basket. For anyone curious, we have a basket back here. Oh, yep, we got a cute one. We got a basket to keep the prints nice and organized now, because before I did not. The next one we have is Doves with Cherries, or also known as cherry birds. So Doves with Cherries is this cute kind of like pink and green piece. Let me make sure I got this on here. Alright, there we go. It's kind of this pink and green piece, honestly, where it's actually mainly representative of France, so it does actually have kind of a place. This one was probably painted around 2024, I would, not 2024, 2022. I was thinking 2023, but probably around 2022 actually. This was when Amena K, our artist for literally everything here at Amena Art, was doing coloring books. So she has currently 4 coloring books total published, and this was actually part of the French Designs one, where I believe it's part of the French Designs one, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it was part of the French one, where when she went to France, she was really inspired kind of by like the lighting they had, all the detailing, and kind of like how they would have these ladies and animals and things on the double-sided. So they were double-sided and they would have like animals or ladies on the actual lighting. So she was very inspired by that, and she ended up making this double-sided style here, which is very unique actually to her own works, where it's double-sided with animals usually, and it's obviously very nice. This one is kind of more of a chandelier feeling, honestly, but it could obviously still be kind of like more of a wall light as well. But it does have 2 doves actually on both sides, and they do have some cherries that's kind of coming down, and they're kind of like nibbling at them, all hungry, kind of like if it was like a bird feeder. That's just a very fancy bird feeder. But it's 2 doves, and they can't eat the cherries. Now this is actually an older style for Amena K. She does have, I believe, 1 piece in progress that represents kind of the style of the double-sided, but she has currently kind of retired this. This is more of her older pieces. If you do see this style, it's usually more of her older pieces around probably 2022, honestly. Yeah, 2022. So that is probably about the date, unless obviously kind of goes more newer. Now, I'll bring it up close so you can see the detailing on this one a bit better, because honestly, it's a little bit hard to see from back there. But it does obviously have the 2, oh my, feels like it's gonna fall off here, but it shouldn't. It does have the 2 cherry doves on both sides, because these are just doves obviously. And then it has these cherries kind of like come down, they're kind of reaching out honestly for it. Very gorgeous though. And you can see that she has a lot of intertwining here with kind of the paint, and how it kind of just kind of goes up, kind of like a chandelier, honestly. Very gorgeous though. And it's one of her more underrated pieces, honestly. But it's very gorgeous, it's very elegant, honestly. And it just gives that feeling of very like delicate, feminine, at least to me. It gives me kind of like delicate, feminine, but like it knows what it's doing, kind of. But very gorgeous. It's got all this detailing and kind of intertwining here. Of course, you got the doves on both sides, and super cute, honestly. But it is one of my more favorite pieces of her older works, honestly. It is one of her few older works that I do adore. So if you were to ask me like, oh, what's like your favorite older work she's done, it's probably this one, I would say. But now to the fun part, where would I put this? So this obviously piece, Cherry Doves, for the 3 places I would put this in. The first one, just off of kind of vibe alone, is I could definitely probably put this in like a room or something. Just like a very casual like space in the room. Like I wouldn't probably hang this. Like I can't really see it hanged. This is one of the more pieces that I would see mainly kind of just like how it is now, which is sitting there all delicately. I can see this kind of maybe on like, I can see this on like a bookshelf or like a nightstand or something, which is nicely in the room. It's kind of giving that touch of elegant, honestly, giving that touch of demure. But honestly, that's why I can see it. I can see it in like a very kind of like calm, but like touch of elegance, just like a touch of color maybe, where it really brings it all together with a little bit of pop, but it's not really meant to be like the centerpiece. It's kind of meant to be there to bring it all together. Honestly, that's how I feel. Like you would have little pieces of like greens and maybe pinks around the room, and like little details, but just it kind of sitting there on a stand or on the bookshelf, kind of just giving that touch of beautiful and perfect to just bring it all together for the feeling. Honestly, I could really see it like that. I could also, so the second one is I could see this, honestly. Well, this is kind of like the first one, so this is kind of like a little bit more on the first instead of a second. So maybe it's like 1 point second one, 1 point half. It's obviously more of a pink room. It could be very girly, because it's in a very girly room too. Very princess. I can see this in a very pink princess room. Frills, kind of like the lines, the whatever on the walls, honestly. Very elegant, very demure. I can see it very kind of like princessy. So I can see it in kind of that room. So that's kind of like a added on to what I already said. So the second place I could see this is, honestly, I could see this in a kitchen. So the reason why didn't say like, well, I could see this also in other place, but the reason I didn't say dining room first and first kitchen is because it's food related. So all the food related ones automatically get kitchen vote for me because it's food related. This one's cherries, so you know, it just fits. We can see obviously a kitchen. It's a much more elegant kitchen though, probably. Like chef does things kitchen. Just nice showroom kitchen, honestly. But very elegantly. That might be actually one of the times I would hang it, just because I don't want to be like on the counter and stuff. I would want nicely, maybe like a few inches above, but I could definitely see it in a kitchen, just very nice, very demure, kind of like showroom type kitchen, very gorgeous. And of course, I could see it obviously in a dining room, which would probably be the last one. So number 3 is dining room, and the dining room obviously because it's more of a formal space. So the dining rooms are usually more formal. That's where you kind of have your families, you have meetings, you have everything else. This would probably be in more of the public one. If you have 2 different dining rooms, this would be the fancier dining room most likely. Because it obviously gives kind of that in-between vibe of food, but also elegant. With the cherries and the doves and everything pink, kind of being like the more food related, kind of more of the friendly and outgoing colors and feelings, but then you have more of the chandelier happening here, the French design, which is much more elegant obviously and much more fancy and kind of like put together. So you can see this in like a dining room and such, where it's kind of just off to the side. It might be like the centerpiece of the room, though I'm sure some people could put it as a centerpiece of the room, but this is more of like one of those pieces that you would put in one of those like nice, what are they? They're like these nice like drawer things where it's kind of like off to the side. They're like glass, whatever. But I see it kind of like in one of those where it's very like demure, off to the side, just nicely there, giving that obviously fancy touch. This is really a piece that's kind of like, it's not the whole room it feels like. Like maybe for you guys, you could come up with like a way to make it kind of like the centerpiece. For me, I can really see this as a piece that's more of like, it is the piece It's a little cherry on top. It's the cherry on top, they say. And it's just that piece that kind of puts it all together. Honestly, it's a cherry on top. Just wow, perfect. That's where I can see it. Of course, do tell me, obviously, where you guys would put this, because I'm super curious, honestly, because obviously mine, it kind of all fits in that generic theme of, it's not the centerpiece, kind of like sub-piece, cherry on top, perfect. But always curious, obviously, on where you guys see where these pieces can go. But that is birds with cherries, also known as cherry doves. Now for anyone that is curious, of course, just join in, let me give you a recap. Those cherries here is a piece that was poly painted around, I would like to say, 2022. So this is actually one of the older pieces in our collection. This one actually was a part of a coloring book that our artist originally was making to get better at line work. And this was, I believe, a part of the French one. So she made about 4 coloring books at the time, and she made a French one, which this was one of the designs that she actually chose from that coloring book to physically paint, which is called Doves with Cherries, also known as cherry birds or cherry doves. Very gorgeous, and it just has kind of this French design. She was really just inspired off of France, and kind of like their lighting, where they have animals or ladies on both sides, and then they have this intricate design of like swirls and things. It's just very gorgeous, honestly. But it's a very unique style for her, where it's double-sided with the animals. Very gorgeous though. I do love it, and this is actually one of the older pieces that, if you ask me, Delphine, what's your favorite like older piece, like post 2024? What's your favorite one? This would be it, honestly. I would probably say cherry birds or cherry doves, and it's literally, I just enjoy it. It's underrated, honestly. But very gorgeous and everything else. If you have questions, feel free to ask now, and everything else. Now, I know we only went to 3 tonight, but it's almost 10 o'clock, so we'll probably close out here in a moment. Wow. So we'll leave the last 10 minutes actually just to be kind of chatting time, very calm time of the live. So of course, hello everyone. My name's Delphine, this is Amena Art. We make everything actually here ourselves, all these paintings. We have some that literally been here forever. Most of the ones obviously now that I show you today, nowadays is much newer, posting 2024 to obviously 2025, because that is really when production on paintings became a higher thing for us. But I enjoy talking about this. All our works here at Amena Art is done by our amazing artist Amena K. You can find her on literally everything, but mainly this page is just going over her works, talking about them, where we love to see them, just the backstory, a little bit on colors, a little bit on everything, answering questions during our live streams, and everything else. But we mainly have a lot of fun with it, and yeah, it's fun, honestly. Enjoy it a lot, and we have a lot too. We have a lot more than what we show you today, but this is our 13 by 13 fine art prints, and this one's actually a collector's edition because it is actually signed on the back. So this one's like very fancy, very rare, because this one's actually signed on the back by the artist herself, Amena K. And it's just fancily signed, and this is our 13 by 13s, which we have probably about 7 13 by 13s, so the square ones currently, we have about 7 designs in them, which tonight we went over about 3 of them in these specific frames, which I do enjoy, honestly. Of course, thank you for watching and stuff, joining us, commenting and everything else. We do hope you like, follow, or subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. We hope that you like, follow, and comment, because obviously we'd love to hear from you guys. But other than that, we hope that you have a lovely day and night. And once again, I'm Daphne. This is Amena Art, and yeah, that is all. Goodbye. And for our TikTok people, this is the end of the live. We are going to be closing out and everything else. So goodbye and good night. So hope to see you guys tomorrow, but it's late. Bye.